Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us. Thanks for listening, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Chaotic Harmony. Today we are talking about school culture. It's something that we are passionate about. And about setting through our music programs. It's something that we talk about extensively, and I'm excited to spend some time really hashing it out with you guys. So I'm here with all of you. You should say hi.
Well, hello, guys.
Hi.
There we go.
Hello,
Yay. Gang's all here. So we were talking today about how Chula Vista has its own soup, just like any district has their own. So I wanted to start the podcast off by just talking about what is it about our district culture that we're kind of working with our kids, with our location, just some common things that we all come up against. So
John is already deep in thought.
He
Before we
is thinking really hard.
I think it's better that we define it as a salad than a soup.
Okay.
Soup is all like boiling into. Yeah, when people say like America is like the. Okay, I'm gonna just stop. But
Melting
anyways, a
pot.
salad is a good idea because like there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of leaves.
You didn't
There's a
stop.
lot of-
You kept going.
I'm keep on going.
Okay.
Now I'm going back to Chula Vista.
Okay,
yeah,
Chula Vista's a salad.
It's a wonderful salad, and the thing is, like, you have a wide diversity of populaces, but the key thing is location. It's close to the border, no matter where you go. It's not North County; it's definitely South County. So you have a lot of mixed diversity for the most part, especially amongst our schools in particular.
It's not just, the Latino community, which, is obvious with our location. We have a lot of different cultures all
Very
coming
much so.
together in Chula Vista. It's very multiracial, but we also have a wide income diversity as well. So, and it's, when I first started working there, I was a little surprised that the closer you get to the ocean, that is actually where the lower economic communities are.
It's older Chula Vista.
It's older Chula Vista. It's classic. One might say up and coming these days as they redo the waterfront. But as you get East County, those are the new houses. That's where you see all the new construction. That's where all the fancy new schools are, the people that have their own private airport. So what I know that Mark and Zoe and I have all talked about how we're in a Title I kind of situation at our school. I have 100% free and reduced lunch. Mark, you're the same, right?
100, yeah.
We're at 75.
You're 75, so it's close. And then Jonathan, you're kind of mixed up. Yeah, big time.
Last time I did the podcast on my school, I said I look at the numbers. I haven't. I apologize.
Okay.
But yeah, it's mixed. We have a weird mix of diversity. We have low income. We have also naval folk that just come in. So we have a mixture of conservative and liberal. We have a mixture of racial and also as going back the economic demographics, just all mixed. Big salad.
Yeah, big salad.
I got so when you said soup, I was immediately thinking of alphabet soup as a kid. It was so good.
But it's only the Greek alphabet. You don't have anything else in there.
The other thing that we deal with
so sorry.
as we've been coming back and building our programs is we're in this really unique situation in California with our funding for arts programs. And I think that it's just a different situation than a lot of different states even went through. I know that arts education stability is a problem nationwide. I fully understand that. But as far as finding the funding and putting it back in place in California, there have just been some unique hurdles. So it's really interesting. And this is something that you can look up. There is the Stand Up for Music Foundation. So standupformusic.org is a cooperative of a lot of California educators, and they're kind of pulled together by CMEA, the California Music Educators Association, and they have a new initiative called the Right to Jam, and so they have a slideshow on their website that is all about how to take the LCAP, which is
Local Control Accountability Plan.
Right.
Thank you. I'm so glad you knew that. Wow.
Nice.
Know your acronyms.
Come on, man.
And it's, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're probably more in the know on this than I am.
Maybe.
But it's just like a chunk of money that the districts get to decide how to use to increase student engagement. Is that correct?
Student engagement, yeah, and then student performance on test scores.
Yeah. And so they have said, hey, music, arts, those are great ways to increase test scores. Yeah, so it just gives language and action plan too.
Right. Well, for so long, that money was used for more writing, more reading, more math, and they didn't see the outcome that they wanted to, and so people are like, do arts.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, just trying to see that.
Yeah, and that's the model that Chula Vista Elementary has followed under Lauren Shelton's direction, to take the LCAP funding and fund our arts programs through it. So we have come into, our situation. We've come into all of our funding, woes. We've come into this former music education wasteland, and
listen to our earlier episodes for more context.
Exactly, and have been trying to shift the culture more towards creativity, more towards student engagement, more towards music and that creation. So guys, when we talk about school culture, what does that mean to you? When we're talking about, how can we influence school culture, what are we talking about?
Well, I feel like, first off, there's only so much, we have so many desires of what we want to give to our students, and we only have so much time in the day. And so culture for me is like, what do we place our focus on? Because even as music educators, even though that's more of a specified role, there are still so many approaches you could take. And just boil it down, like orf versus kodai, soup versus salad. There's so many different approaches you could do.
Mark really wants to say something right now.
Go for it.
Soup. Okay.
Anyhow.
We'll put up a Facebook poll. Soup or
I actually don't
salad?
even like soup. For the sake of this argument, I want it to be a soup. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
That was the foundation. You're welcome to build off. But.
Okay.
For me, school culture is everybody. It's from the students to all staff, to the community, and just how you do things. And so there's this underlying, everyone at a school should be safe. Everyone should be getting, taught. Everyone should be like kind of in a positive environment. There are those things that you don't waver from, but then the culture of that school is, how do you put your flair on it? So that's my opinion on culture in the school.
I have an example. So at our school, we have this.
Yeah.
So we have our silent
shaka
signals,
sign.
and I agree. That's basically saying, while you're listening to anyone, you do this. If you agree, and if you disagree, there's this.
My school started with this, and for some reason, it's like gone towards this.
We've changed the direction that you move your hands. So instead of side to side with a shaka sign, you go forward and back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop there.
But Mr. Vickers was at Rosebank, and he started. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that.
And he's your principal.
He is my current principal,
Okay.
Rosebank's former principal, so the culture has been moved
The
around.
culture, there you go. Which is
Right.
such a great example of how people can put your personal stamp on a school culture.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. But
Okay.
I think I just think about the shared vision of all the people that you just mentioned, Mark, and culture is like it's a really vague word.
It is, yeah.
And so it's encompassing of all the arts, right? But it's more than just art. I think art is a manifestation of all those values and the visions.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think values is the word that I really resonate with when I think about culture. It's shared values. So what are we doing as an entire staff, as an administrative team, as a parent team? What things are most important to us that we're all feeding in and working on together? And that's kind of where my mind goes when I think about school culture. So the next thing that we talked about is what are 2 things that are important to you in your program? What are 2 values that you're kind of hoping to instill in your students? An influence. I was thinking about this, and something that is really important to me when I go to a new school. It's important to me that there's a school song, because I think nothing can build unity like making music together. And I think, especially since we teach our students for 7 years, from K to 6th grade, that's a long time. So nothing really makes you feel more like in the routine and at home than singing the same song, especially if it's about a place. So I've written 2 school songs.
Okay.
I inherited a really awesome one when I came to Finney.
I love that
The Finney
one.
song is the best. It was written by a past principal, and it's so cute, and it's sung in both English and Spanish,
Oh, nice.
which I think is awesome. I added some super awesome clapping.
Can we hear it?
Oh yeah, we are from Finney. I said from Finney, where the boys and girls are better than the best. We are from Finney. I said from Finney, We're from Finney Community School. We do reading, we do math, we have a whole lot of fun solving things together. Yes, it can be done. We are from Finney, and it goes on. And then we go, Somos de Finney, Digo de Finney. It's really cute.
So often, do they sing the song?
We sing it Monday and Friday, and at every assembly. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we do a patriotic song. The weather is nice year-round for the most part in Southern California, so for those of you listening in other parts of the country, this probably is not relatable. All of our cafeteria tables at our schools are outside, so we actually meet every morning on the blacktop for announcements, and we start with singing.
Snow? What is snow?
Yeah, right? Like
What's this white stuff?
Occasionally we have precipitation.
Yeah.
But it's very occasional. So anyway, I was thinking school songs, but then I guess it just goes along with it. But to me, that feeling of ensemble or unity or we're all the same, that's huge for me. Then that's a value that I really want to instill. Yeah.
Does anyone else here have a school song at their site or no?
No. My principal's asked me for like the last 6 months to write one.
I'll help you.
Okay. Everything I've come up with like, that's trash. I'm not going to do that.
In progress.
Yeah, maybe we'll say that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
Actually, so at my school site, back in probably 98, maybe, one of my former teachers actually wrote a school song, and so that's been already established.
You're reviving it, or
no? It's been sung every Friday.
Done.
It's been sung every Friday. I had my choir though sing it and record it last year, so because we play it off of like a -1 track and they sing along that. But I think it's like no, I'm gonna try something different. So I recorded my students sing it. So hopefully that'll be installed soon enough for my school site. But
that's cool.
How about you, Zoe?
Yeah, so a former coworker and I wrote, or we changed the lyrics to "You Are My Sunshine" to a Rosebank theme song. So yeah, it goes, "We are the Panthers, the Rosebank Panthers. We use core values every day. We are the pride of Chula Vista. We care and learn right here in South Bay." And
that's really cute.
That's cute.
Yeah, and it was honestly, it kind of came out of sheer necessity because that's the first song that I learned how to pick on the ukulele.
Okay.
So I was like, I can accompany this. We can do it this week. And so that's where it started. And then I got mixed feedback. It worked. It hits hard with the kindergartners. They love it. But then the 6th graders are like, this is lame.
Right. There's some measure of that. Like at our school too.
Yeah.
Even though we're not to "You Are My Sunshine."
Well, so then I started putting it out there like, hey, like we can rewrite it, guys, like to the teachers. And some of them were like, okay, I'll help you. And then there was one, our soccer coach was like, you can't change it. I love it. And like he's like teaching it to his 4th grade class. And then this year, I got to give props, like major shout out to my principal, Aaron Magnan, because he had a whole career as a rock musician before he became a principal.
Okay.
And we did this music festival at Rosebank. We called it Rosecella. And he volunteered to play with
that's rad.
Yeah, with
that's amazing.
Our custodian, David, and then
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
His drummer from his band, who's actually a parent at Rosebank.
That's awesome.
And they really rocked it. They brought it.
That's cool.
And they performed the song, so it's great.
Okay.
That's
really
cool. That helps when it's done in a rock style too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That makes it way more exciting.
That's cool.
As far as values, going back to that, I mentioned in my earlier podcast something that I really wanted to focus on is my students really finding a way to express themselves. Especially with last year's song that we sang, expression is a key part. But I had this really weird dichotomy. Now an ORF level 3 trained. I've been I've been a part of this soup, been part of it all. And in that case, the soup works. The soup works in that case. But
been melted into one ORF blob.
I mean, if you come to an ORF thing, he's like, oh, what's going on here? People moving scarves and all. But anyways, expression is really important, but also I think there's this weird dichotomy of expression, but also trying to find a way to... excellence is the wrong word, but it comes close to it. Yeah, having students recognize that, because what got me into music, I loved music, but in 11th grade, I took AP music theory. And I realized, and I mentioned this earlier, I realized, wow, there's a process, there's a science to this. And even though I'm not intending by any means for my students to get to the scientific level of music, if they do, great. But like, expression's important, but also understanding that that there is more than there are many colors on their palette to use. It's not just singing with happiness or sadness. Oh, there's nuance. There's also a good way to project yourself. And so I feel like that's kind of where my two broad values lie.
Paint with all the colors.
Paint with all the colors, yeah. Paint,
I've heard
but paint with all
that.
colors.
I've heard that used with teachers answering students' questions about why do we need to learn this song from another culture and another language, and I
do
thought
that
that
a
was
lot.
beautiful. Yeah, I like that.
Every year I have my students learn a song from a different language, and I get a lot of pushback, especially from students that just joined the choir. It's like, why do we have to do this? Well, it's important for you to understand the other cultures. It's important for you to, like, different cultures are going to be using different techniques, and not just can you have empathy towards them, but also you can utilize that within your own art as well.
Yeah. I think it's really important down by the border that all of my kids learn how to sing a song in English and Spanish, because that's language can be such a huge divide, especially down here, that we need to, there's something really powerful about singing together in the same language or in somebody else's language.
Language is culture.
It is. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, something that you said, John, about like striving for excellence, being a value at Casillas, it reminds me of something that's said in the El Sistema community where they say tocar y luchar, which like one translation could be like to play and to fight, but another one is like to play and to strive. And I think that's like no matter what your background is, like everyone can play, everyone can try and be their best. Yeah. So
I like
I really
that.
like that. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Very
Sounds
good.
cooler in Spanish.
It does.
Yeah.
I agree.
Spanish is great.
I think for me, it's just that concept that everyone gets to play. It's accessible. And then even like for me, when I think of school culture, like I said earlier, it's thinking of the whole school. And so that includes teachers, and that includes like knowing that they add value. Because if you take one person away from a school, the school's different.
Yep.
Regardless if it's, the loud kid or the shy kid, or the teacher who does everything, or the teacher who wants to just focus in on their classroom. Like, you're all part of the same school. And so everyone adds value, and just making sure that people know that, and knowing that without your input, without your voice being heard, you're not adding to our full school. And so regardless if we differ on ideas, or if you think that in this particular instance, like this song needs cowbell instead of, bells, I don't know.
Always more cowbell.
Always more cowbell. Always. That's the right answer. But just knowing that everyone is valued in that. And so for me, like, that's where my mind goes. And that's what I want my kids to know when they leave my school, is like, it'd be great if like excellence, if they achieved that, but for me, like, that will come eventually. And I also have to remember that they leave at 11 years old, and so at 11 years old, for some kids there's this feeling like, oh yes, I'm going to strive for excellence, and they just have a different background. But then for other kids, it's like at 11, if they know that they're cared about and they know that they bring something to the table, that's a huge success too.
I think about
Well, I don't know. I think at the age of 11, everyone should be playing Schoenberg.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally. Especially with one music teacher for 400 kids. Like, that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe out where some of you guys are in the East and you have like a staff of music teachers. We talk about that and we dream about that a lot, guys.
Like in Iowa. I heard in Iowa, Minnesota, they have 3 music teachers at their schools.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's really something.
I know.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
One day. I was thinking about how it's interesting how we're talking about striving for excellence, but you have to open your mouth to say sing
True.
to get there to begin with. That's so true. And I feel like because music was not part of the culture for so long, or if it was used as like, and not that this is bad, but used as like, people have done this thing before you, now you will do it exactly the same way. But we're going to do this specific dance, or we're going to sing this specific song so that you can understand this piece of a culture. It's like a teaching tool, you know, for we don't just teach that, we teach creativity.
Very much so.
And we teach like pulling voices out and valuing your own creativity. And I think it's so powerful when a kid values their own ideas. And that's a direction that we're trying to go in education as a whole. And it's talked about a lot. But man, trying to instill in a kid like your ideas are valuable and important, and if you don't speak up and add your voice, you're taking something from our community, because we need your voice. It's really important. Yeah, that's good stuff, Mark.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that like that you know, that there were like I almost said theme songs. Fight songs?
School songs.
School songs?
School songs.
Sure.
Motifs
Motifs,
if you will.
came from the past, someone else's past creativity, and like how we can draw from those to like pass on culture to students as they come through our schools. And I want to ask you guys, like, thinking about the past, valuing the past, but then also looking towards the future, like, what are we doing to ensure that, you know, our culture gets passed on? Not necessarily like us in the room, but like what we're creating in our classrooms and in our school culture is sustainable and continues.
Because there will be a day when we do not teach at that school site.
Right. And that to me is kind of one of the greatest tragedies of a lot of really strong music programs, is they are so director based and so personality driven by the leader, that once that person leads, oftentimes you see a program fall apart. So that's an excellent question. I think having those songs instilled are important. The other thing that we have talked about is including our families and our parents in their own children's education, and helping them, empower them with language to understand why music education is important, so that it won't stop with us, that they will demand the music program's continued existence after we've gone, because they're like, well, my children have had this and it was important for them. I'm not going to let it die. Yeah. What do you think?
I think visibility, like, adding on to that, I think visibility is important for it to be sustainable, because if we just teach music in our classrooms and we don't have either informances or performances, and that teachers are just going to come in and out and just pick up the kids and drop off the kids, and no one's going to know what happens inside our classrooms. But if we make what we do in our classrooms more visible by having either informances or performances, then the time we do eventually do leave, parents, the community, teachers, admin, they will already know what our expectation is of a music classroom. And so the following teacher can perhaps, well, while they will definitely instill their own culture, will still be able to keep a legacy of some sort going on.
I was at a conference this last week, and one of the speakers said this quote with, lead in a way so that whatever it is you're leading doesn't end when you cross the finish line. And I think for me, like, thinking about my music program at my school, is I have to make sure that my principal knows that when I leave and they replace me, to find someone who fits that culture that we've built, you know, and making sure that I verbalize and express, like, this is what we do at Montgomery, like, this is who we are. And if you bring someone in who doesn't fit that mold, like, it's gonna either drastically change, or there'll be a riff. And I'm not saying like to bring in a person exactly like me, but just to bring in a person who shares those values. Like, okay, yeah, at Montgomery they do this. Yeah, like I think I could do that, and like I want to be a part of that, as opposed to someone like, no, all that's terrible, and we need workbooks, and we need music theory and more music theory and more music theory. You know, and like there's a place and time for that. But just
for
at my school,
always,
absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
If they don't get the workbook done at the end of the day, whatever. But just knowing that the people above me are clear with what is the culture, and kind of what is needed to foster that and continue it.
Okay, so I'm going to say something that I think might be a little bit controversial.
Oh, bring it on.
It's salad is the answer.
Yes. So something that I've been thinking about in building my music program culture, like, you know, those defining characteristics that make our music program, Rosebank's music program, I've been really trying to advocate for all the things like that we're going to do happen within the school day. And, you know, every teacher does things that are outside of their job description. It's just one of those professions where it's kind of, it goes unspoken, but it also comes from the heart. Like a lot of teachers, that's what motivates them is, you know, going the extra mile and making those personal connections that oftentimes, if it's an after school program or like a club or in our case, like a choir or orchestra, like that's what makes it all worth it. But my worry is that if I am doing all these things extra and then I am no longer the music teacher, then all those things that I'm just doing on top of my job will then disappear because it's not said. Yeah, so I think it's really tricky because like I really want to value like access.
Yeah.
And like giving students that opportunity, like to be in an orchestra or like go to concerts, that those kind of things. But then doing it in a way that's also like healthy for the teacher.
Oh my gosh, sustainable. I know. It's really hard to plan for 7 grade levels and then stay for an extra hour after school to teach ensembles and take them to concerts and plan those concerts, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot, and I struggle with it as a mom because I have 2 little boys. They're in 1st and 2nd grade, and I spent the first 5 years of teaching as an independent contractor for a school, which was just not a very good way to do it at all, but it was just the only way that I could get a job. And I added all these extra things after school, like Glee Club, like all these ensemble things that I did. I burned out so hard, you know, and I even set my own, you know, pay for those after school things. The parents paid extra. It was a private school and we were able to do that. And I would say, I'll do it for this amount of money per kid with no fewer than 10 kids or whatever. And made it go. But oh my goodness. And I just decided that, you know, after I had the boys, that I'm not going to do that anymore because teaching's exhausting. And we already I don't get much planning time during the day. I'm grateful for what I do get, but it's not enough to plan for 7 grade levels. And then to add all the responsibilities on top of that for a performing group. But you're right. Kids deserve the opportunity to be in an ensemble. It's important.
Yeah.
Working towards those shared goals. And there's nothing like being on stage with a group of people and knowing that you're just killing it, you know? Like, yeah. So, like, for me, it's been... like a really fun challenge. Like this year has been really fun for me to become more visible to the whole school staff and to advocate for myself. Like what I'm doing is going to, I don't say it like this, but I'm thinking like from my heart, like this is going to change the lives of these students. Oh yeah.
Like no them question. Joining orchestra. And so like what it meant, it was having kind of difficult conversations about scheduling, saying, because for a while I was doing interventions where the teachers would hold their small groups and then they would send the rest of their class for an extra VAPA lesson, and it was kind of just like a one-off lesson. And I said, hey, instead of doing that, I can be having an in-school orchestra, and it's a trade-off, but like I think it's gonna make a huge difference for these kids. So but like I had been thinking this the whole time that I've been teaching in Chula Vista, like this is what I want to do, but I wasn't saying it out loud. And so I've just been kind of trying to just push myself to have those conversations, and surprisingly I have not been shut down the ways that I thought I would at first. So I encourage people to, like, you know, if you have something like burning in your like teacher, like I want to do this, like if it's a dream, like obviously it's not mapped out for any of us, but like you can figure it out. And
it's true.
Yeah,
to an extent. Time is such a finite resource.
It is.
It's really tricky. Something I've been thinking a lot too about building legacy, which is really what this is boiling down to. Like, how are we going to outlive the programs we're building?
Or how's the culture?
Yeah, how you know what I mean?
Yes.
So when we were kind of gathered from a lot of different places when Lauren needed to find music teachers. She had to go recruit all over the place to pull us in because of the lack of job opportunities for so many decades down here. It was just difficult to find people. So now that there's this desire for it to come back and it's becoming reestablished, we need to be part of that educating, to pull people in. We need to save future teachers some time that we stumbled. And I know that you're never going to start a first year teacher completely polished or anything, but I just feel like by sharing the stories the way that we already are and putting resources together, we can help mold people towards thinking in ways that we've come to think and just get them further along the path to get them a head start. And so I've started really speaking up and saying, hey, I want to have student teachers. This is really important to me. How do I get that? I really want to mentor some people. So we have the ORF community and, a lot of us have stepped up to leadership roles in that. And I look at that way. And then I just finished up with my first student teacher this year. And I'm just really excited to see where he goes, having seen what a healthy elementary school program even looks like, because I hadn't seen that before. All right, guys. So thinking about the work that we've already done and where we're headed in the future, how have you already observed the culture changing at your schools? I call on Mark.
I have a story.
I know.
Yeah.
I like
it. Last year we did a musical for the first time ever, and I think the school's history, and the school's been around for a long time. And if someone who's taught at Montgomery knows different, let me know. Anyway, so we did Seussical, and everyone was brand new at it. I was brand new, students were brand new, and so it was kind of like, come audition, but the auditions were just like sign up basically. And so I had a group of boys, and then one boy in particular who just has always been kind of a little bit of a troublemaker. Like he's a good kid. He shows a lot of leadership qualities, but they're not always for the positive, Anyway, and so he signed up, and I was super surprised. I told my principal, and she's like, "Really? He signed up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I was like, "All right." And I had a perfect role for him, and he did it, and he's had so much fun. And so he was a 5th grader last year, so he was a 6th grader this year. And one of the mornings, I was just in the hall, and he comes up to me, "Mr. Keehmer, are we going to do Seussical again?" And I'm like, "Nah, buddy, we're not going to do Seussical, but we'll do another musical." He's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to do it this year again."
Aww.
It's like, "All right, man."
That's
like,
great.
it's awesome. So it just gives him a chance to be on stage in front of people, because like maybe that's just what he wants, is just people to kind of see who he is, and just and it gives it in a positive way.
Yeah, get attention for a good thing.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm sure like and I've noticed a shift in him just in general, where he's been more engaged and he seems to be in less trouble. And then that goes with another student who's now a 5th grader. Last year as a 4th grader, almost every day I had him. It was just, he was getting in trouble for this, just not engaged. He didn't care. And this year he joined my band. Like, he wanted to learn saxophone, so he signed up and he's learning saxophone, but he's just a complete 180 of a student. Just, he's super engaged. We're doing a lot of solfege in band right now, and in his section I have 2 students who have been playing for a couple of years, and 1 student's in the conservatory at the Youth Symphony, and so she's a little bit farther along in her musical journey than he is. And so I am throwing out concepts for him to grasp, but then also for her to grasp. And he's starting to grasp the concepts that she's getting. He might not be able to play everything, but like, we're just talking about solfege and how it's a pattern, and when we look at scales, it's all a pattern. And so if you just fill it in, and he's like, yeah. And so he's getting it. He's super excited about it. So it's,
cool.
It's been really fun to see that, and just to see kids excited and to see kids hungry for this knowledge, where even a couple years ago they were just kind of like,
Right.
So we're doing it.
That's awesome.
One bit at a time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I started a choir 2 years ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was pretty uncomfortable singing myself, but then, it prompted me to grow personally and get more comfortable singing. But then, so I had a lot of 6th graders sign up the first year, and then they all went to middle school. And then the next year, so last year, it was a lot of 3rd and 4th graders, like 4th graders and their younger siblings. And a few of them were very nervous, and I was thinking, like, why did you sign up for this? Like, you don't want to perform. Like, they would tell me, I don't want to go on. I don't want to do this. And
You're like, that's what this is.
yeah, I was like, we're just going to get used to it. And then this year, same student that I'm thinking of, we've performed a couple times this school year already, and I noticed in the last couple ones she didn't say anything about being afraid. And then, in fact, on the way going to our Rochella stage, she goes, I'm going to do choir in 5th grade and in 6th grade. It's
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah,
That's
like
so
she's
good.
so hooked. But yeah,
So enthusiasm.
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, lately I've been more, at least the past few years, I've been engaging the 6th graders, because that's, a lot of them didn't have music before I came in there. Right now, the 4th graders at the moment are the only group that, as I started with kindergarten, they've had that foundation. The 6th graders, I've had them since 2nd grade. So I've always gauged the 6th graders and how willing they are to put themselves out there. And every year is different. Every cohort's different, of course. But as the years have progressed, you start to see the shells they place on themselves slowly come off. And like last year's group was less receptive to doing movement activities because, well, I didn't do ORF stuff my second year. But as I start seeing the new 6th grade classes come more and more, you start to see that they're willing to do things that are weird. They're willing to express themselves more. One of my 6th grade teachers mentioned that he's noticed every year his creative writing club has increased more and more. They become more creative individuals.
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Wow.
It's hard to see in the midst of it, but just stepping back, it's, for me, is just that creativity, is that they're willing to place themselves out there in a very scary and vulnerable place.
Yeah.
It is.
It's vulnerable to create,
It is.
especially with everything that's out there for them to see. This is what a product looks like. Be it recordings, be it videos on YouTube or any other platform per se. It's easy to think that that's what art is supposed to be, and to create, to make your own voice is very scary. But the fact that this new group of 6th graders are willing to do it more is just encouraging. Also, these 6th graders can sing. Last year's group was a little more resilient. 2 years ago was pretty solid, but like I start to see more and more, again, expression and excellence. I'm seeing them showcase themselves as the years progress.
It's cool.
I definitely see a softness in my older kids that I did not get to
That is true as
experience
well.
for the past few years. So I understand what you're saying. I've had my 6th graders since they were in 3rd this year. And it was so different walking into 6th grade the first day of this year. They were happy to be in music class, and it was really sweet. We've been spending a lot of time in the orchestra room. I have a strings room and a general music room. And we've been spending a lot of time on our strings lately. And one of the kids, as we were walking into the general music room to work on something the last time we were together, was like, oh, I have missed this room. It was really sweet. Yeah, it feels like home to them now,
Yeah, that's cool.
and it's their playground. They're happy to be there. They're happy to find ways to express themselves. And even the kids that are wrapped up in a little bit more self-consciousness than others,
Right.
I would agree, with you that they're just more comfortable being vulnerable and expressing themselves. That comes down to setting the culture of your room too. Like, my most important rule is rule number 3: no put downs. I don't put up with it.
No.
For me, rule number 5 is cooties don't exist. So hold each other's hands, guys.
That's right. I told you I make them say, like, holding hands is not weird. And they repeat it, holding hands is not weird. I will not make it weird. I will not make it weird.
You told me about that, and so we were doing Alabama Gal with our 6th graders, and they were weird about it, and so I made them repeat it 4 or 5 times.
Did it
and,
work?
Yep, for the most part. Probably say about 98% were fine with it, and there were those couple who was like, but
Yeah.
Right
You
click,
know what
copy
else
and paste that.
What else has been helpful are clapping games, doing more of them and more frequently. Like Richard Lawton taught us went down to the corner and I went to the, went right up to the bakery shop, took 2 donuts right out of the grease and handed the lady a 5-cent piece. It's really good. Yeah, and they
Have to
really
look at that
like
one
the
again.
challenge of it. And I was at a conference in Northern California with NCAOSA. They hosted it last May, I think, and they brought in Nordic instructors, which was mind-blowing. I saw you were doing one of the Nordic songs. It was great. Actually, when they were teaching us that one, it's a clapping game that every, I guess, Norwegian kid knows. They made the comment, the teachers made the comment that it's a healthy way for children to get aggression out. You know, to have these contests and to, like, have, you know, forceful contact with another human through the clapping game, but in a fun way. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting.
It's interesting. Like earlier years, like there's been like a high demographic of females who've been really into music, and that's great. But just the boys have always felt like, oh, that's for girls,
right?
And this year, there's this one guy. He's actually our student council president. He's also on the football team, and he was the most into doing the hand clapping thing. And it's like, okay, cool, happy for you.
Yeah,
and for me.
Okay, well, we're going a little out of order, and I totally own that. I like skipped around on our little.
It's chaotic and it's harmonious.
Yeah,
it's like,
it all worked out.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, usually in education, you start with outcomes, the desired outcomes, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of plan backwards from that. But what are our desired outcomes in terms of school culture, like music program, classroom culture? Do we have any?
I have lots.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't we answer this
Well,
one?
no, it's a little bit of a different angle.
nuanced.
So instead of like, what do you want your legacy to be? What is the desired outcome at the end of the day? I guess. I think about that more with what do I want my kids to look like. So I want to raise an army of Chulavistians who are empowered to embrace their own creative ideas and who respect their own creativity and see it not only as their right, but their duty to share it with the world. Because I think that those are going to be the innovators, you know, of the future. And that's where the economy is headed. We need innovative, creative minds who can think outside the box, create the next technology. And so, I mean, that's my end goal. So if we have awesome performances, that's great. I mean, I love that. But more than anything, I just hope that they are confident and empowered.
Yes.
Yeah.
The confidence.
Yeah.
Like for me, I want students to have like the confidence to try things, to try new things, and to value their creativity. That they're all so creative. Like I've yet to meet a kid that is cannot like outthink me in something very creative. Like I can't predict what they're gonna say. When I think I know what they're gonna say, I'm usually just not listening.
Yeah, that's when they're like, "Hey, Miss Pridmore, have you ever thought about what it would be like if your fingernails were eyeballs?" And you're like, "Nope, that's weird though.
That's a new one.
That's cool."
Could you see out of them?
I guess I would assume
I
so.
don't know.
Yeah, you gotta.
Right? Who thinks about stuff like
Fly
that?
vision, I am now.
That would be very concerning.
Yeah.
See what the inside of your nose looks like.
Hey. No, you need more light in there. That's the problem. Maybe.
I love kids.
I think for me, just to tag on what you guys have said, and also to be kind with other people's creativity. You know,
that's good.
Just because it looks different than yours doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I want people to be kind.
Yes.
And like in everything that you do, I don't care what field you're in. I'm like, I won't go there, but just to be kind. Like, yes, you can disagree, but you don't have to disagree by name calling. You don't have to disagree by putting someone else down and devaluing their ideas. It looks different. And the beautiful thing about the world is like, there's not one way, you know, there are multiple ways to do it. And so, John, I've noticed that you've been doing Inktober.
Yes.
So it's like you do these drawings every day of October. And I've seen your drawings and they're amazing. And I have another friend, she's doing it and she's posting them and they're completely different, but they're also amazing. And so it's like you have this word and you draw a picture based on that word, and just to see your mind how it works, to see her mind how it works, it's a cool thing. And you know, like, there isn't one better than the other. There's not one, you know, that's right and one that's wrong. It's your interpretation of whatever word that is and how you're able to express that. And I think that we've become such a competitive culture where it's you win or you lose. You're right or you're wrong. And you come in first or you come in last, you know? And it's not quite how it works. And especially in education, like, should we be ranking schools, within the district, and I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. I think
for another time.
But it's.
I have my 2 cents.
Yeah, and so we can talk about that another day. But what are we teaching our kids when they know that their school isn't as good as X school? And so I don't know. There's value in that, I guess, and I see the value in that, and I know that you don't want to be complacent in what you do. But is saying that your school is at the bottom of the list a good motivator for your teachers, for your administration? Because your teachers see that, and then they see like, well, we've been trying so hard and we've been implementing all this stuff, but we're still at the bottom, and we're still looking at that. That means that we're ineffective teachers. And is that healthy? Is that healthy for the school culture? Is that healthy for your teachers? And then that translates, is that healthy for your kids? I don't know.
I have a lot of thoughts.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get into it right now.
Right. And it's not for today's episode.
No.
But just going back to the original thought, which is being kind with other people's creativity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know how we got there.
No, it's fine.
No, that was good.
It got my mind out of the whole eyeballs on fingernails.
Oh, mine's back too.
And now we're back.
But something you said there was really key. Please don't do that. Sorry. You're freaking me out, Mark.
Oh, we see our eyeballs now.
Gives a different expression of picking your fingernails. Anyways, I was just doing this. Anyways, moving on. You were saying something, Mark, that really touched, that I really thought about. Yeah, the whole, I've been struggling personally on, like, because I've loved math growing up. Math was my jam. And the thing is, we've always really, the idea is solving for X, solving for Y, get derivatives to solve for your variables. But that's not how the world works outside of the confines of the school classroom. And so giving the space that one's art can be and will be different than your art is very beneficial for the students in the long run. I wouldn't say more beneficial necessarily, a different beneficial than solving for X.
Right.
Yeah. What was the original question?
Well, we were just talking about desired outcomes.
Yeah, what's your desired outcome with your kids?
I think it all ties in together. Like, in order to value someone else's expression and creativity, you have to think critically.
Yeah. That's important.
You have to be able to have that self-awareness and think, okay, I think this, but this person thinks something else. And that's really valuable.
Yeah.
I think desired outcome for me, I'm still trying to, after 5 years, still trying to polish it up. But I think one thing is similar to what you guys are saying, exposure towards what else is out there. As mentioned earlier, I really make sure that my choir sings a different song in a different language. One of my 5th graders says, Mr. Seligman, why do we always sing a song that's not from America? I was like, that's not true. We're singing one right now. But like, it's purposeful. It's important that we just understand what else is out there, because it's easy for us to just be locked in our own room. So one desired outcome is just exposure to what else is out there, understanding what other paints you can paint with.
Can you salad is good with all the colors
of the wind?
Thanks, Zoe. Yeah, I think that we've all definitely landed on the same outcome. And then as far as how do we make these cultural changes last beyond ourselves, I think it's important that we leave a trail as much as possible. We put our stamp on future educators. We leave some sort of guide for the next person to just be like, look, here's what we've done. We have it documented on our social media accounts. We have concert programs. We have a lot of different ways that we're trying to put it out there into the universe. But more of that. Yeah, one of my values as a teacher is within the music teacher community, our district and then the greater world, is I will share every discovery I have, because every kid needs access to it. And why do we all need to be feeling like we have to be perfect or reinventing the wheel or like every single idea has to be our own? It doesn't. We need to learn from each other, so that we can get excellent education to every kid. Yeah.
I think that when we do that, it just multiplies. If we're selfish with our resources, then it's only going to affect, let's say, the 300 kids at my school or whatever it is. But then if I share that with you, Crystal, and then you're like, you know what, I'm actually going to use that, then that whatever activity it was or whatever it is now is positively affected 800 kids or not, whatever it is, and then you share it with someone else, and
Yeah.
good resources are gonna continue. If it's not good, then it'll stop somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm very glad that some of my lessons have stopped with my classroom.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
I know. Our poor little
I know.
experiment children.
Especially those first couple years. I'm so sorry to those kids, man. Like, oh. Anyway, but just that, I think I agree with that, and I love that, and just sharing resources, like. As educators, we should be doing it. We should be sharing best practices.
I feel like
and things.
Don't be stingy with it.
I feel like my main exposure towards education and music was secondary music, and it's like, as mentioned before in other episodes, it gets very competitive. It's very much about how many awards does this school earn, and there's a place for that for sure. It helps the students aim for performing better, but in the same sense, it becomes very closed off and not collaborative. So I'm with you there, Mark.
It's tricky, isn't it? Also, that culture of celebration.
Yes.
When somebody else gets an accolade that is well deserved, I think it's important that we lift each other up.
Something that my former band director, she still teaches at my former high school, and she mentioned how at their when they do chair auditions, she didn't even subscribe this, but at when they announce who gets the last chair, in a non-sarcastic way, they all clap for that kid because this is the biggest clap because you are still part of this classroom. You're still part of us.
So I got these at the Mission Bay boat races. So Brian and I have gone every year because we have a contact at Home Street Bank. He works with him there, and they sponsor a speedboat every year.
Ooh.
So it's this really fun San Diego thing that's been going on forever. So they give them out to all the kids. They're called Bam Bams, and they make a noise. So they're like big inflatable tubes. They're 2 feet long, you think?
Sure.
Ish.
Yeah, why not?
So they kind of sound like a spring. And you get a bunch of them together. It's so loud. But all the kids at the boat races had these things. And I grabbed a bunch because they were giving away. So these are like branded with Home Street Bank. And they say, we bleed blue on it because it's Home Street Bank blue.
I actually bleed red.
So this was the color of the boat that they sponsored too.
I was going to say, are you Creole?
So.
No, actually, before our blood gets oxidized, it is blue.
It is. It's true.
I want to hit those.
Here, take them. They're really fun to play with. What do you think?
Be a little wary about the mic.
I know.
Oh gosh, that's a spike in the mic.
They have a very satisfying metallic sound.
They do.
No.
Yeah. They make lovely antenna.
Okay.
As Mark is demonstrating.
Okay.
I wonder if you could use these as ridiculous mallet examples.
Oh, that'd be funny.
You could do Dave Thaxton's whole routine.
Oh, of, have the leader holding extra large.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the whole thing.
Maybe day one of music class, when you're teaching routines with rhythm sticks, they're just extra large rhythm sticks. That's cute. Do you have an idea? You want to play.
That is a nice metallic sound. Oh,
Isn't
gosh.
it?
I like also you could bend the pitches also.
Ooh, so putting more or less pressure on them?
I like the pitch. I'm thinking also some sort of Laban movement. Not sure exactly what. Punching, but instead of punching
you know
with
what? That
body,
would be fun.
Yeah. This is a safe space for me to punch Mark. Instead of punching him, I can just whack him and
make the noise.
Challenge.
What does it look like if you drop it from high up?
It floats.
Yeah.
There you go.
It looks
There's your
like
Laban.
There you go.
There we go.
It would be really fun to both to give everybody those, and then they have to do a movement activity with them.
Yes.
But then do that activity where one group is moving and the other group is making sound effects.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Here we go.
Mark had an idea.
Yes.
That
Find
was
a way
quite
to make
fast.
this shape.
Oh,
And then
okay.
you get multiple of them, different shapes.
Hold them at different
Okay.
angles and then make that shape with
Sorry,
your
I'm
body.
just listening.
So, if you have them in perpendicular, have the other group also
Find a way to make the shape.
With your body. Got
V
it.
shape.
Okay.
No, using a different body part, find a way to make the shape.
Okay.
You can't see my
it's
legs,
hard
but
sitting down. Yeah.
Find a way to make the shape.
make it work.
This is not optional. Rule number 1, follow directions.
Rule
Rule
five.
number 4, join in with everything we do.
5 cooties don't exist.
The cooties don't exist. I like that rule. That's a good rule. Those good ideas. Aren't they fun?
Yes.
Bam Bams.
Bam Bams.
Bam
You
Bams.
could
Okay.
also, if you had enough Bam Bams, have them be something that as you are marching or traveling along, at some point of the song, you have to hit with somebody else that lines up.
Ooh, fun.
Oh, no. I like that.
The only thing that would improve these is if they were glow in the dark. For
Oh,
sure. Like,
yes.
I want glow in the dark Bam Bams.
You can use glow-in-the-dark paint.
That's true. Could do like a
safe?
whole black light thing.
Huh?
Is that safe?
Yeah, why not?
We can make it safe.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know. We would definitely clear
Let
that
us
head.
know via email.
Good work, guys.
And to those watching or listening, thank you so much for listening to Chaotic Harmony. But it would really help us a lot, especially if you're watching via YouTube, making sure you subscribe to us. That way we can keep on making this thing rolling for future episodes. Also, if you would help us a lot greatly is if you send us a review on iTunes or any other, I guess Google Play has their own system.
Yes,
I'm
they
guessing.
do.
So
Yes, they do.
send us a review that helps us
Stitcher,
a lot so that we can get more
Spotify.
visibility for more teachers to see what we're doing and also for them to learn off what we say. So send us a review, 5 stars only. That's all we accept. But yeah.
I'll
Also,
accept lower stars. I just want to know what you think.
via the review area, or also if you have anything you want to share to us, feel free to send to us an email. We're at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com.
Yeah, we will get back to you because we'll be
will.
so excited that anybody emailed us. We'll just be honest. Okay, so we do have a round of the week. Round of the week. This one is called Tombai. It's from Israel. All right, so I'll sing it. Then we'll break it down, yeah? Tombai, 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 Tombai. La 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 la. Yeah?
Sure.
Cool.
Let's try it.
So I sing a bit, you sing it back?
Yes,
Or,
please.
yeah. Tombai, 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 Tombai.
Tombai, 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 Tombai.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.
La 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 la.
Got it?
La 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 la.
Yeah, I sang that wrong the first time, so
Okay,
I will
okay.
take ownership over that. Okay, so sound good?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Girls
So-
against boys?
Yay.
Yeah.
What
do you think?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Sure. That's it.
Okay, cool. Ready, Zoe? Here we go. Tombai, 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 Tombai. La 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 la
Tombai, Tombai. La 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 la. La 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 la. Tombai, 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 Tombai. La 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 la. La 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 la.
That one's fun.
That is fun.
Sorry I abandoned you, but not sorry.
3 parts.
I just left her out on her own. I'm like, you got it. We had a little creativity challenge with the kids, and I gave them all rhythm sticks, and they had to come up with their own dance moves with the rhythm sticks.
okay.
And then we were just marching in a circle for a little while, keeping a steady beat. But then it was creatively connect to a partner on the different parts, and they came up with some really awesome stuff. So,
Cool.
yeah, that was
Could
my
give
idea.
them Bam Bams next time.
You could. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's coming full circle.
Bam.
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 Mark, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Keehmer.
I'm at Ms. Kumagai.
You could find me at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman.
You can find me at Mrs. Pridmore or at Finny Valpa. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cool.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at @CHClassroom, Instagram at chaoticharmonyclassroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Brian Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
Like and subscribe.
Bye. Gucci.
Girl, bye. You know, if this whole music teacher thing doesn't work out, John, you've got a great career in sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got it. You're on.
What was that?
I don't know, man. Mr. Trumpeter. Anywho.
So I'm not real sure with mics.
Put a mic in front of us, we're screwed.
I saw a meme today and I thought of you that was like, can we all stop miming mic drops?
Yeah.
Damage to sound equipment is not a joke. And I was like, Brian Pridmore. Okay.